And the game of the year is... Mon ami Clair Obscur, Expédition 33!
When I first saw that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 won Game of the Year, I was confused. I definitely didn't disagree with the verdict, but it brought a question to my mind. How much does gameplay matter, really? My name is Rumbus, and that's what we'll be getting into today. I wanted to use the case study of Expedition 33 because, well, it won Game of the Year, but also because I think it gives us a fantastic insight into the question I'm asking. It's a game that critics have praised for its beautiful spectacle, its fantastic story, its music, and much more. But the gameplay itself, by far the most divisive piece of this game. I don't think I'm the only one who would think this either. Every TikTok I see about this game always has countless comments of people critiquing the gameplay and heated arguments, where the opposite of this seems to be calling these commenters ball and gun gamers or Fortnite players. While I think a lot of these commenters are definitely Fortnite trolls, I want to find out if they have a point. I want to talk about two games today, Fallout New Vegas and Dark Souls Remastered. These are two of my favorite games, both hugely critically acclaimed, yet very different in nature. Fallout New Vegas is the dream RPG. Your character is a true blank slate. You can build them however you want, and the story is super fluid and player-driven. You can play New Vegas 5 times through and have a different experience every time. However, the gameplay is janky, often broken, and definitely dated. Essentially, its game design takes the spotlight. Dark Souls Remastered is the opposite. The Souls-like combat system is so robust that it started an entire subgenre of RPGs. Elden Ring, the spiritual successor to Dark Souls, even won Game of the Year using the foundation laid by early games like this one. Now, I would just talk about Elden Ring, but I actually haven't played it nearly as much as Dark Souls or New Vegas, and it just wouldn't be a fair comparison. Dark Souls has all the qualities of a perfect gameplay experience, but its story, world building, and some RPG elements take a back seat for the duration of the game. To compare these two, I'm going to use my own personal experience with these games, along with reviews and analyses from other gamers. I also interviewed my dad, who's tried both of these games, to see what he looks for going into a new title. I'm in between PCs right now, so I'm editing this on my laptop, which is not a gaming one, so I use my own gameplay whenever I can. But in the event that I can't, I will let you know. What I'm really trying to figure out here isn't whether gameplay matters. Obviously, we know it does. But when does it matter? How much does it matter, and why does it matter at all? How can a game like Expedition 33, where gameplay isn't the main attraction, win Game of the Year? In New Vegas, you play as a glorified mailman. The most blank slate job ever. You get shot in the head by the antagonist and conveniently can't remember a thing, other than the fact that you need revenge. This is the perfect setting for an RPG, as it provides a compelling story hook without dumping too much exposition. Who doesn't hear,
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
and not think, man, I really want to try this game out? The character builder is phenomenal, and you are thrown right into the action. If you want to go right to New Vegas, you can do that. If you want to go to the complete opposite direction, you can do that too. This is probably the sole reason why New Vegas did so well with the Fallout purist crowd, the ones that played Fallout 1 and 2, because these RPG elements are just so present in this game in a way that they aren't in the other 3D Fallouts. Look, I loved Fallout 4, but even I can admit it was a dreadful RPG.
I know that suit. You're one of those people who lives underground.
But don't take it from me. Let's take a look at this Backloggd review by Dace the Base. I think the ultimate litmus test for if an open-world RPG is fun is if you get the urge to restart from the beginning just to see different playstyles or story choices. It's hard to explain, but I really felt like I was role-playing as my character and not just doing things arbitrarily. I equipped whatever outfit I liked the most without worrying about stats. The game kind of naturally makes you feel like a cool drifter cowpoke in such an offhand way. The writing and game design pull this so far out of its weight class. 4.5 stars. I want you to remember that last line, pulling a game out of its weight class with game design. What does that mean? We'll return to that. As much as I love New Vegas, it's time to talk about the giant T-Rex in the room, the gameplay. Fallout New Vegas may be, bar none, the most broken game of the 21st century. If you can think of a more broken game, leave it down in the comments below. Considering you need a mod pack just to get it to run on most PCs should be a whole different video, but I digress. Let's talk about the gameplay. It isn't great. And this isn't even my opinion. Let's just look at how gun damage is calculated in this game. Base damage times weapon skill times weapon condition times power times strength bonus. And then it adds all this other stuff. Pause to read. What? If a player picks up a gun in a game, they are confident that it will do what a gun is supposed to do, independent of how good their character is with it. It creates an immediate disconnect between the player and the weapon, as how good I am with a gun in New Vegas is solely dependent on how good I roleplay my character to be with said gun. Further, the animations on the gunplay are quite dated. And that brings me to the graphics. This is the most visually impressive space in New Vegas. And these are screenshots from other games that came out the same year, Alan Wake and Halo Reach. See the difference? I guess the point of all this is to say that even with some less than polished systems, New Vegas is still a fantastic game. It is my current favorite on Backloggd, and it also has an average score of 4.3, one of the highest on the whole platform. Just as Dayspace said, the game design pulls this game out of its weight class. I think New Vegas proves that a meaningful, well-designed overall game will often outpace a game that is just, well, fun to play. To be honest, I probably have way more fun playing Overcooked 2 in the moment than New Vegas. But I don't lie awake at night wondering if I picked the right ending in Overcooked 2, do I? Ah yes, Dark Souls. The place where all gamers learn to control their anger. Or maybe it creates their anger. I'm not too sure.
It's not there! It's not there! He's not there! Ah!
Either way, I love this game. I first played it on the Switch when it came out, but I also got the Xbox release for a smoother experience. And for the sake of my Switch, it's a lot worse to break your controller when the console is your controller. Regardless, Dark Souls Remastered is a very different game from what we just talked about. I just finished talking about how flexible an RPG New Vegas was, when Dark Souls is almost the complete opposite. Now, there is some flexibility in this game, but it mostly comes down to your character's class, the map, and what order you choose to take on some areas. Here's a graphic from Reddit user CJCJ. As far as game design goes, it's fairly linear as you progressively unlock more areas with a set of required and optional bosses. But the beauty of this game isn't in the story, or the map, or even the graphics, although they are very nice, and even more beautiful in Elden Ring. It's the gameplay. This game has a very core idea, and it makes it work. Create combat that is so fun the players can forgive how unforgivable it is. And I think Dark Souls nails that to a T. There certainly is tons of lore, and very cool lore at that, but it isn't ever in the forefront of Dark Souls Remastered the same way it is in New Vegas. There's almost no exposition whatsoever aside from a very cryptic opening cutscene. You could call this game a sandbox, but instead of just a traditional RPG sandbox, it's a gameplay sandbox. Hear me out. You can play however you want. How you build your character, which path you always take from Firelink Shrine, how to beat that boss. These are the variations of Dark Souls, not simply experiencing the game's story. For these reasons, I would say that Dark Souls is the perfect example of a game that prioritizes pure gameplay over any of the other stuff. Now, I do acknowledge that Dark Souls Remastered kind of falls off about 2/3 of the way through, and I think everybody will agree with me there, so just pretend this part is on the first 2/3. I think this review from Bongo Pod sums it up. I understand why this game is a certified classic now. I really enjoyed the setting and aesthetic of Dark Souls. The difficulty, of course, made overcoming the challenges presented very rewarding. There are definitely infamous sections of the game for a reason, but I don't think it spoiled my experience. 4 stars. Notice how in the New Vegas review, it didn't mention a thing about the gameplay environment, but this review talks almost exclusively about it. That's because Dark Souls chose a knack and stuck with it for the entire game. Dark Souls Remastered is not a case of jack of all trades, master of none. It's a textbook example of Bruce Lee's famous quote, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but one kick 10,000 times. The gameplay of Dark Souls has been solidified in the community as one of the best mechanisms in gaming. After looking at the two extremes of very gameplay-oriented versus very story and game design-oriented, I think it's finally time to tackle our main question. To wrap all of this up, I wanted to ask my dad what he thought. He is by no means a hardcore gamer, but whenever he has some time, he loves to pick up a game every once in a while. I thought he would be the perfect person to ask because he's not somebody who would have any bias towards this topic. Hell, I don't even think he knows what the Game Awards are. Anyways, he's probably the closest thing to the average gaming consumer I could find.
So important in games, I feel it's, and what I like is is story. You know, gameplay is important, but for me, it also has to have a story. And, you know, something like Gears of War, Resident Evil, there's a story, and sometimes I'll even select the easy mode just so that I can enjoy the story more.
I think with this, we have our answer. Let's return to our initial example of Expedition 33. Do the Fortniters have a point? How important is gameplay? Yes, as we saw with Dark Souls, it can be very important. But to casual gamers just looking for a way to unwind like my dad, it really doesn't matter how intricate a game is or isn't. It matters how much the gameplay stunts or adds to the experience. There are some great games out there that I absolutely hated just because I couldn't get into the mechanics of gameplay. Take Cyberpunk 2077 on release, a beautiful piece of storytelling constrained by broken and unfinished, albeit fixed now, gameplay. But I really don't think that's what we see in our Game of the Year winner. The combat in Expedition 33 does not look nearly as exciting as Dark Souls, but I would say it lends itself well to that form of storytelling. What would Expedition 33 gain from having deep, fleshed out, unforgiving combat? I would say not much. And if we look at the games Expedition 33 was up against, I think this only strengthens my point. Games like Hades 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Hollow Knight Silksong were praised by critics for their intuitive gameplay, platforming, and difficulty, but we never heard as much about these games' stories, world building, or overall game design. That doesn't mean it's not there, but it just means that isn't the main strength the game is playing to. And that's okay. But these games didn't win. So, to answer our main question, I believe we're entering an era of gaming where gameplay isn't the main draw of a title. That space seems to be getting filled by live service and free-to-play games, leaving the heavy hitters to innovate instead of stick to the status quo. Games these days are just as much a piece of literature as any other form. For example, I wrote my final exam in a literature class on The Last of Us and got an A+. I think that speaks wonders about today's state of gaming. And that is why Expedition 33 won. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Astrobot won last year and that game was pretty much all platforming. Leave your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.